I'm Mary Beth with the Law of Attraction Club, and I'm on the web at loaclub.com. With these hangouts, we collaborate with our friends abroad. This hangout is the link of our community and continue with our member conference line after the call. After the hangout. Today's topic is stars are good choices. What to do when there are none. You get invites to our open calls, which we offer periodically, and our powerful free letting go process by going to loaclub.com. Now we welcome Robin, and we welcome John.
Welcome to our discussion on the art of choosing. We'll begin with the fundamental truth about your thoughts and feelings, and then we'll get into the practical aspects of understanding the law of attraction, making better choices, and changing your life into the glorious adventure you came here to experience. Here's what we discussed last week about feelings. Feelings are your infallible and invaluable guide to your direction. Your feelings tell you whether you're heading towards or away from what you want. So what are the things you want? Some of them are things you think about consciously, and we're going to be visiting some of those later in this discussion. Some of them are things you've thought about in that so-called past of yours, but maybe not recently. Some you've never thought about, but are in line with or extensions of the things you've already decided about. Many are just generally a function of who you are. A fun-loving, freedom-loving, source-connected creature at your core. When you're heading in the direction of all of those, you feel good. When you're heading away from them, you feel bad. So how did all those wants and don't wants get created and stored? Well, even as you made the belief choices that define you and your world and stored them away in your subconscious tapestry of expectations, so you made preference choices about what you want to experience. And you stuck them like post-it notes on those belief choices. When you chose the earth was round, or flat for that matter, what label did you put on that? When you chose to believe that some people are friendly and others are mean, what label did you put on that? When you chose to believe that money doesn't grow on trees, what label did you put on that? Did you think, well, that sucks, but I guess I'll have to live with it? Can you see that your world is constructed entirely from those choices and labels? Each choice put you on a track, and mostly you've been on that track ever since. And when you come up against a shortage of money, for example, and you contemplate what you have to do to remedy the situation, your default response is to feel bad. Which brings us to another of the principles we discussed last week. Your feelings are never dictated by circumstances. It may seem that way on occasions, but it is not so. You have practiced some default reactions, but your thoughts are always creating your world. And your feelings simply tell you whether you're creating things you want or creating things you don't want. You can control your thoughts, or you can think by default. Default thinking means either one thought just follows another, you're on a train of thought, or You're reacting automatically to circumstances. How much of your thinking is default? What you think is always a choice you can make consciously. Therefore, the direction you are heading can always be a conscious choice. Therefore, how you feel can always be a conscious choice. The simplest advice we can ever give you to help you create what you want is always choose that better feeling thought. So can you see the logic of this? Nothing is more important than feeling good. Not that urgent thing, not that necessary chore, not that unrewarding job. Nothing. So do only what feels good. Let all your actions be inspired actions. Get up on your have-tos and struggle. Realize your power. Step into the you came here to be, and everything else falls away. So that's the fundamental truth about your thoughts and feelings. Now let's, as promised, get into the practical aspects of using this understanding of the law of attraction to change your life. And as we do this, we want you to understand that there's nothing about being practical or realistic that changes any of the truth of what we just described. It's just that as you wove that tapestry of wants and expectations of yours, which is the screenplay of everything in your movie, you've probably built in a whole lot of those must-dos and should-dos with timelines to match, and it may take a bit of navigation to find your way around those blockages. But get around them we will. Here we go. Can you cold turkey just quit all your must-dos and should-dos? It depends. Everything depends on what you think. But what if there seem to be no good choices? Let's look at one possible scenario. You have a job. It's not a job you enjoy and you'd like to quit, but it pays the bills. Going to work doesn't feel good. Quitting doesn't feel good. So what do you do when it seems like the only choice you have is between the lesser of two evils? Well, firstly, as we have often said, we do not advocate the jump and the parachute will appear approach. So we're not suggesting that you quit the job and then fear the consequences. Here's what you do. And the process applies, of course, to any of your blockages. Find ways to feel good. What is there about your job that you like? There's the money, of course, but there will be other things. Some of the people you interact with perhaps are fun. Maybe the drive there is relaxing. Maybe the cafeteria food is good. Find the things that are good and start to appreciate them more and more. There's your baseline. From that base, start to image some what ifs in the upward direction. What if the job changed to be more of this or that? Let yourself start to imagine life as you want it to be. And here's what will result. Either you'll change the job or you'll change jobs. Are you getting the ease of that? You'll change the job or you'll change jobs. And you don't have to worry about which it is. Whichever it is, it will fall easily into place. No stress, no leaping, and no parachutes required. There is no circumstances of your life that locks you into feeling bad. Feeling bad is a choice. There is always a way out, or more accurately, there are always a million ways that are effortless and fun to get out of any hole you've dug for yourself. It's not a matter of doing things or trying to force things. If it doesn't feel good, you're going in the wrong direction. It's a matter of consciously choosing that better feeling thought. It's a matter of being smart about it, using this knowledge you've gained and consciously choosing to create what you want. The more you become aware of how you feel, moment by moment, day by day, and begin to approach this creation business deliberately and confidently, the more you will find new doorways appearing that you never knew existed. They are there right in front of you, but you can't see them unless you start to feel good about you, about life, about everything. How do you feel right now? Your feelings always tell you in which direction you're creating. Your thoughts are always creating your world. You can always choose your thoughts. Therefore, you can always choose your feelings. So make yourself a commitment to give up on the must-dos and the struggle, and allow yourself to merge into the downstream current and be carried to where every action feels inspired. As you step into the powerful you came here to be, resistance falls away. We're going to propose a new technique. It's very simple. We'll call it the dodo process. Nothing to do with extinct birds and very much to do with descriptions of desired outcomes, dodos. We suggest you formally create a minimum of 5 things you'd like to have, be, or do. Descriptions of desired outcomes. Get them in your mind in glorious detail. They can be physical things or non-physical things. They can be a dream you've had, and all you need to do is revisit it and flesh it out. Here's why it's important. If you can't imagine it, you can't create it. Nothing exists in your world you haven't imagined into existence. Nothing will ever exist in your world unless you imagine it into existence. Imagine it and practicing imagining it until it's in your tapestry. If you imagine it and line up with it, you will experience it. That's what you call the law of attraction. The important thing about these dodo dreams is that they be ideas you fall in love with. Visions of things that carry you away from the status quo. Things that take you out of that lesser of two evils version of your world. Have them as touchstones in your pocket and use them regularly. In a few minutes here, we're going to be asking you to share some potential dodo topics. So we encourage you right now to start thinking of a new desired outcome or two. What do you want? What do you really, really want? Let's conclude here with what we finished with last week. If you've dug a hole for yourself, stop digging. Set your intentions once more on feeling good. Feeling good is more than just a good idea. It defines the quality of every part of the life you're living, and it will define the ease with which you transition at the end of it. The main intent has never been that physical stuff you manifest, nor even the non-physical stuff you're making up. The main intent is you with your hands in the clay of all that is, creating your next masterpiece. It's you stepping into the world of your dodos. And as always, we are here stepping with you.
Just hanging out on air with a summary of our things. We do 3 live calls a week, Q&A for our members on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. You can become a member by going to LOIClub.com/join. Our longer discussion continues now with Q&A on our member conference line. Back over